pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we get started, I want to just let everybody know the cards are, Andrea, are they back in that corner right there? Is that where they're? Yep, right in that back corner. So if you want to speak under unscheduled audience participation, please fill out the card and bring it right up here to Angela Weaver. And when we get to that part of the meeting, we want to get those in before we get to that part of the meeting. Anyone's after that point will not be accepted. Okay. Mary, will you take attendance, please?
Certainly. President D'Alessandro?
Here.
Vice President Griffith?
Here.
Secretary Hanser, present. Treasurer Schaefer?
She should be here shortly.
Okay. Trustee Foster?
Here.
Trustee Schultz? Here. Trustee Reese? Here.
Okay, before we go into just want to officially welcome Colleen and Aaron. Aaron, is that the correct pronunciation of your last name?
Reese, yeah.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to be sure. All right, with that said, we're going to have Colleen and Aaron take their official oaths of office. We'll have Angela Weaver come up and she will administer that oath right now. Yep, we'll have you stand right up here.
Right up front, both of you?
Or you can stand right next to Colleen, that would be fine.
I apologize for being late.
That's okay. Mr. Weaver, any changes to the board agenda?
None tonight.
Okay. Item number 4, the consent agenda. We have a motion for meeting minutes of October 5th and the September bills payable. And then we have some higher recommendations as well. Do I have a motion? Mr. Griffith?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support? Support, Ms. Reese. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chad. Board of Education matters. We don't have anything scheduled under that. We will go with item number 6, curriculum and instruction.
Mrs. Beal is going to present first.
All right. Pam, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
Very good.
All right, welcome Colleen and Aaron. I'm Pam Beal, the Executive Director of Special Education. This is my second official and full year in the role. Prior to that, I was a school social worker for 10 years, most of that time spent in Oxford schools. And I am very excited tonight to be talking to you about our special education department and what we have in the district and what's been going on since I have been in this role. So last summer, Danny Stabilisky helped me revamp our special education department page on our district website to make it user-friendly, family-friendly for families trying to navigate the 504 and special education process. So here's the revamped version. It has a couple quick links there, different tabs that are frequently needed by our families. I wanted to acknowledge our Parent Advisory Committee representatives. We call them PAC reps. These are board-appointed parents who go to open schools once a month and meet with other PAC reps throughout the county. So our two PAC reps are Megan Miller and Brandy Ellinger. I also included in your board packet our I updated the Section 504 protocols of practice, so hopefully you had a chance to go through those. And I also spent some time with the department revamping our special education parent handbook. So this has a wealth of information in it, different regulations, rules, acronyms, and processes for Oxford. Here's some of the definitions. We talk in acronyms a lot, so here are some of our definitions. The role MTSS plays in special education, the timeline and process for becoming eligible for special education, how we evaluate, the different categories for which a student is eligible for special education, and then if you're birth to 2, you would get a plan called an IFSP. And if you are older than 3, you would get a plan called an IEP. This kind of talks about who might be involved in your child's IEP team. And this is the page that I wanted to highlight a little bit more. So I want to talk to you about the different programs and services that we offer here in Oxford. All programming is individualized and to student need. We're always considering placing it in the least restrictive environment. So one of that acronym is LRE, and we say it a lot. And that's, we want our students with disabilities in with their non-disabled peers as much as possible. So we work with birth to 26 here in Michigan. We're working with our Early On program to provide early intervention services to Oxford children birth to 3. We have an early childhood specialist in the district. She coordinates these evaluations and she provides family services in a child's natural environment, so that's most often in their home. We also have in the district an early childhood special education program. This is for our students with disabilities ages 3 to 5. These students tend to have more moderate to severe delays, and they attend the preschool special education setting. That's up at Leonard, and Megan Rayner is the teacher out there. Students 3 to 5 with more mild delays can receive walk-in therapy services, and we do have a designated team for that. We have elementary, middle, and high school resource room programs. So this consists of a special education teacher who manages a caseload of students with varying disabilities. Depending on the student, the plan is created for the student to be in gen ed classes to the maximum extent possible, but then also receive that specially designed instruction individually or in a small group with their special education teacher. So the state of Michigan regulations entitle students with disabilities access to a free and appropriate public education. FAPE, that's another acronym we use very often. So we entitle students to FAPE until the age of 26. So in Oxford, we have a post-secondary program. It's currently located at Oxford High School. We call it the Loft, that was developed many years ago, Learning Opportunities for Tomorrow. These students are working on their daily living skills, different vocational skills, and work-based learning opportunities. So some examples are loft students catered the special education high school prom in the spring. They prepared the meal, they cooked, they served, so giving them some of those daily living skills and an opportunity to perform a work skill. They also recently worked with the DDA and decorated downtown for the Scarecrow Festival. So if you see that fall decor out there, that was our loft students. So along that least restrictive continuum, always trying to have students in with their gen ed peers as much as possible. We also provide more intensive programming. These programs have guidelines that promote low student-to-teacher ratios. And these students receive more of their core instruction in what we might call a categorical classroom. So they might receive most of their instruction in there, but we still have opportunities for them to be around and learn with their non-disabled peers. Here in Oxford, at the elementary level, we have 2 autism spectrum disorder classrooms at Lakeville Elementary. We have a cognitive impairment classroom at Clear Lake. At the middle school, we have an autism spectrum disorder classroom and a cognitive impairment classroom. And then at the high school, we have 2 cognitive impairment classrooms. One is mild and one is moderate. If we do have an Oxford student whose fate includes a program we don't have in the district, we would be working with the ISD to either enter into a cooperative agreement with a neighboring district that does have that programming, or the county does help run center-based programming, and we would be working with the ISD to send those students there. Typically, those are for low-incident disabilities, such as deaf and hard of hearing, or severely multiply impaired. We would be working with the ISD to make sure that those students have transportation and are entitled to that fate. We have sent students to various levels of programming for emotional impairments. It's definitely something that as a district we could look into developing our own. Right now we don't have any students with this level of programming, but it's definitely something we could consider in the future. The different services that we offer are teacher consultants. So teacher consultants generally work with our resource room teachers. They do academic testing. They can serve in a case management role. At the secondary level, they do a lot of the scheduling for our special education students and some of the state testing. They coordinate that and the accommodations that students might need for those tests. We also provide occupational therapy for students with fine motor delays, physical therapy for students with growth motor delays. Our school psychs coordinate our special education evaluations. They can do cognitive, behavioral, economic testing to see if they meet the Michigan. It is a team determination. I'm just saying that the school psych is one who leads that process in seeing if the student meets Michigan eligibility for special education. And the elementary level, our school sites play a lead role in our MTSS process. Social work services for students who are in need of social, emotional, behavioral skill training. We also have speech and language pathologists who work with students on language development, articulation, voice, and fluency. We also have open schools consultants that will come out, for example, for visual impairment or hearing impairment. We have a VI or HI consultant who will come out and work with the student and the team to make sure that we have the proper supports in place for students with those disabilities. We also provide special transportation to students who require it, whether it be a safety harness or a bus lift. And then additionally, if you are an Oxford resident and you are homeschooled, you are entitled to ancillary services through Oxford through what we call a non-public service plan. So we do have students who are homeschooled who are on those type of plans as well. So that's a basic overview of what we have in Oxford. I did want to highlight sort of the year ahead and where we are since the fall. So as you know, we were eligible for some designated ESSER funding to subgroups of students including students with disabilities, to address the learning loss associated with COVID. So we did use some of those funds to increase our ancillary supports. So from the fall of last year, we've increased social work by 2.5 FTE, speech and language by 2 FTE, and the school psychologist by 0.5. We've also increased the secondary resource room teachers by 2 FTE each, and that was really to lower the caseload numbers and the ratio in some of our code talk classes so that our students had more supports, more individualized supports with their teacher. And then at the elementary level this year, we hired an instructional coach, special education instructional coach. And she's been working with all of our elementary school teachers, special ed, to ensure that the teachers have the skills, strategies, and resources that they need in order to really deliver high dosage intervention to our students with disabilities. Some of our focus areas this year I would consider success, that we get started and initiate some of these things. First would be our birth to 5, and we really want to focus on a comprehensive transition from ECFC, which is our early childhood special education program at Leonard, our 3 to 5-year-olds, as they transition from DK to K. It looks very different from preschool to kindergarten or developmental kindergarten, so we want to make sure we have some processes in place that we are giving them the right supports once they get to the elementary school and they're sitting in a DK or kindergarten classroom. At the elementary level, the instructional coach and I are really working on helping teachers diagnose and assess skill deficits, pinpointing where the student is struggling, making sure we're providing evidence-based intervention and instruction and regular progress monitoring for those students. And then when Anita made the rounds last year, the special education teachers were really craving some collaboration time together. So with her blessing, we were able to start monthly teacher collaboration. So the second Thursday of every month, I get the special education teachers at the elementary level together, and we talk about what's new in special education, and then my coach might talk to them about using data in their instruction, and we just further their learning, and we do that together. At the secondary level, the middle school started this last year, but we're redesigning our study skills courses so that they have a specific focus area. And this is really being done in an effort to address learning loss. The skills we have are for targeted intervention in literacy, math, executive functioning, and in 12th grade transitions. So those study skills classes have an ELA focus, a math focus, an executive functioning focus, and then a transition focus. And students can be in multiple of those skills classes. We're really trying to build the skills that we've lost. We also are going to be working on expanding our use of personal curriculums. So a personal curriculum allows us to, especially for students with IEPs, it allows us to customize the graduation plan or their graduation requirements to make them viable applicants for their post-secondary goals. So not all of our students are 4-year college bound, and that's okay, and we want to celebrate that and not limit them to the M, what the MMC says they need to take, but rather what are some areas of interest if they're working toward a trade, making sure that we customize their high school experience to make them a viable applicant for what their next step is. At OVA, we're doing the same. We really want to focus on personal curriculums this year, and last year I did bring in open schools to help talk about how we can best differentiate virtual instruction for our students with disabilities. And so we'll continue that work with differentiation and power standards and measuring what a student knows and maybe not so much a 0 on an assignment. What do you know? Show us what you know versus what you produce in a written way. So we're working on, we have some flexibility with OVA, and so we're really having fun with experimenting differentiation there. We're working with open schools to enhance our post-high program. So we're looking for ways that our students in our LOC program can have more work-based opportunities in the community and in the county. I'm also partnering with open schools on Special education procedures, both special education and section 504, following 11:30. And really the way that trauma might impact those processes. I did want to take a moment, I know none of them are here, I don't know if they watch these, but the special education department at Oakland Schools, following the tragedy, has been immensely helpful. They've been on speed dial and they jump in and have helped create so many different things for me, and I'm very grateful. They've just been fantastic. Shout out to them. I also want to re-engage our parent advisory committee. So I did attend last week. Oakland Schools had their first PAC rep meeting, so I did attend with our 2 reps. I got some great ideas for hosting some workshops through Michigan Alliance. I'll get those on the books. Megan and Brandy want to start hosting their own parent advisory committee or committee nights, PAC nights, so that parents have sort of a support group to come to, and that would be parent-led, but I will certainly help them in that process. And ESSER funding we had some ESSER funding for summer and after-school programming. So this summer, we were able to provide special education supports at all levels in all of our summer schools. So that was great. And I do have some proposals now from various staff members. We threw it out there. We have funding for learning loss through after-school programming. If you want to start a homework club, if you want to start tutoring, if you want to do an SEL group after school, let me know. And so I do have some proposals ready. Ken said, let's put it together. So we'll be moving forward with some before and after school activities for our students with disabilities. At the end of August, we trained all of our paraprofessionals district-wide in nonviolent crisis intervention through the Crisis Prevention Institute. Another acronym that we use a lot is CPI, so you're CPI trained. And really this is a training to help adults working with students, help with behavior difficulties, helping them to de-escalate, and then providing intervention to safely restrain if it is unavoidable. So all paras across the district were trained in that. And I've been meeting with some of the paras, and some of the feedback has been that they'd like to better understand the special education and the very important role that they play in special education working with those students. So I'd like to start developing a district paraprofessional handbook for them to kind of talk about the different acronyms, what's an accommodation, what's a goal, and different strategies for working with those students. And then lastly, I also oversee the Section 504 teams. I'm not directly their supervisor, but I do support them. At the elementary level, seated elementary levels, our teacher consultants lead the Section 504 process. At OVA and at the secondary level, our counselors do that. So I provided several trainings and support to those teams, and many are new. So really, I want to focus this year on their learning and building their capacity within Section 504. And really, that's all I have. Do you have any questions, any feedback?
Thank you, Pam. I do have a couple questions, but anybody have questions for Pam?
Well, I have a comment.
Question, comment?
I have a comment.
We'll start here with Mary.
Thank you. I have a comment. That's all you have? That was amazing. That was amazing, all the things that we're doing. I appreciate hearing about the innovation that's happening and finding new ways to get things done and training parapros, it's really, I think that's really important for everybody to have the training to be a part of the team. It's, when you don't know, it's a lot more difficult to jump in, but when you can at least feel some level of comfort and feel like you can do something to contribute. So I think that's really important. Great job for taking that on and making it easier for people to participate in the parent engagement piece. It really is important, and it's great to see that you're focusing on that also, and giving some autonomy, to the people who are there working directly with the parents. It was a great presentation, Ms. Beal. Thank you.
Heather?
So, for those who have been around for a long time, our special education program has come a long way. It didn't exist much about a decade ago, 12 years ago at all. We had very little resources, and now here we are with you, who you're doing a fantastic job, Pam. And I wanted to comment too. I'm so glad that you're commenting and kind of noticing that transition period between, especially like ECSE coming into DK and then also coming out of elementary into, into their first. Those are big, huge transitions for special ed kids. It's so difficult for them because they're missing the socialization. They are just missing that whole entire piece. So those are very difficult transitions for them because so much a part of that day is getting what's going on with your peers around you, and they're not getting it. So that's really good that I'm glad that you're focusing on that came under your focus area, because I think that's so important. And I'm really proud of the program. I'm proud of how far it's become and what it's become. I thank you for your time. Great presentation, and just good job. Thank you. Yep.
Anybody else? Okay. Clarification for me, as I leaned over and asked Chad if he heard the same thing I heard. Is it pack rep or pack rat?
Pack rat. It is a rat.
Okay. All right, because I thought I heard rat, and I'm like... All right, so...
Parent Advisory Committee.
I know it's a parent advisory committee, but I didn't know if it was rep or rat. I was hearing one, so I just wanted to...
So it could have been.
There's a little bit of...
I always thought there should be like a sheet that a special ed parent gets.
And that's one of the things that's one of the things I wanted to point out, that you did break the acronyms down so I think that's something that we should probably focus on district-wide, because we start talking, or not we, but we hear it a lot, and I don't think the general population hears all the acronyms and really can understand what they are. Whether it's special education or general education, there are a ton of acronyms that go into our vernacular, vocabulary, or what have you. But I want to ask a couple questions about, you pointed out that you meet the second Thursday of every month. Is that enough time for the amount of material that's being covered? And if so, are there things, if not, then are there ways that that could create more open time for the people that you need to reach?
So no, Dan, it's not enough time.
Okay.
However, we have to balance it with what else is going on, and one of the biggest things is sub shortage. So having to pull that many teachers out for collaboration day, we are sticking to it. It's been difficult. We have principals like, I don't have coverage, I don't know what to do. And we're not canceling though, because we do value that time.
Correct.
We do think it's important. What we are doing though is through that instructional coach that I have, she's going out every day.
Okay.
She's going to different buildings every day. She's touching base with those teachers. So that once a month is us coming together, but they're getting support throughout the week from her.
And is that outside of school hours, that during school hours?
That is during school hours.
Okay.
So the second Thursday of every month, I have elementary special education teachers in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I have our ancillary staff, so our social workers, our speech, our psych. This upcoming Thursday, for my ancillary department, the Resiliency Center is hosting us.
Okay.
So they're going to do an overview of what they're offering, both for the students that we reach, but also for our staff members themselves. And then they're allowing us to use their facility so I can do breakout sessions, because there's 30 some of us, so
Right.
multiple sections, but they are graciously letting us use their facility Thursday afternoon. So I'm excited for that.
Very good. And my last question, how many, if any, students do we have going outside of the district for their special education needs? Something that I think, if there's more than a couple, then it's something that we need to kind of look at, because I would imagine that it's difficult for parents to, maybe if they have two children, and maybe they have to go outside of district for one and take care of the other students that's in district. It's a lot of going back and forth, and because I know it's not right around the corner. I believe there's a facility in Waterford, and so that's a lot of. I just want to know if there's a way, if our population of that segment of people that have to seek that out is getting higher and higher. So it's just and I don't need to know right now, but if you could.
Sure, I can speak to it though.
Okay.
We always want to try to provide the maximum level of support here. I would prefer to keep our students here. So if we are able to, and this is their resource-restrictive environment, and we have the resources and supports to help them be successful in Oxford, I want to keep them in Oxford. Really, we're talking about those low incident disabilities. So
Right.
deaf and hard of hearing is one, and then severely multiply impaired. So we just don't have those type of resources. They have access to around-the-care nurses in their classroom with them. So it's those low incident disabilities. We have 4 students right now that we send out. I did mention the emotional impairment because in the past, we've had to send students out for emotional impairment programs, and that's one that it's not a low incident disability. It's students who struggle with various mental health concerns. So we could look at adding that in the future. We currently don't have anyone in the district right now with that level of programming, but if there were a need, I know that Anita and Ken would be supportive of looking into that for sure.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
And Pam, we do transport those students to those.
Yes, so yes.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Thank you, Pam.
Thanks, Pam.
I believe Mr. Wolf is up next. Thank you, Pam. Good job.
Item B, 2022-2023 revised district course catalog. Mr. Wolf.
Good evening. We are seeking approval for our revised code of conduct. Most recently, at the previous board meeting had an addition to the course catalog for the virtual academy and seeking adoption of Calico Elementary Spanish curriculum and a vendor. And so we wanted to pause on that and bring the course catalog back, seeking approval based on that.
Okay. Was everybody able to go through?
Oh yeah, front to back. Every word. 300 and some odd pages, right?
It's, yeah, well, I tried to preface it by asking if they had a chance to look at some of it. It is in depth, but those are some of the things that are, this book, the book is like this thick, and are there any points that you want to bring forward that would be highlighted as significant changes, or?
Not outside of the Calico
Okay.
edition. In general, because it's such a lengthy course catalog, the district one is, and even at each building, it's quite lengthy. Just making sure students have access to that during the course registration process, and not just some of the other supplemental material that we provide them, like their course sign-up sheet, or reference to their EDP, their educational development aligned with their secondary plans, and what they're currently taking at the high school, so to get to that point. So that's some of the next steps we're trying to work on, certainly at the secondary level, of the catalog itself. No question, nothing outside of the Calico vendor and courses.
Okay.
A motion on the floor.
We have a motion?
Move to approve the 2022-2023 revised district course catalog as presented.
Support? Support, Ms. Schaefer. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Wolf. And item C, elementary classroom libraries.
All right, good evening. I am excited to bring this proposal to you today because it's like a year and a half in the making, thanks to the pandemic and everything that we unfortunately have gone through. So in your board packet tonight, and hopefully you had a few days to review it, you have some, quotes and for classroom library additions that we'd like to add to our elementary classrooms. I also included the catalog to give you an idea. It says it's a K-8 catalog, but I only gave you the elementary portion of it because that's all we're really interested in. So I wanted to give you a little history and explanation to why we want to add to it. So prior to my arriving to Oxford in 2015 and 16, the district invested heavily in independent classroom libraries in our elementary classrooms, each of our elementary classrooms, including our self-contained rooms that Pam was talking about. And the reason for those independent libraries is to really support workshop instruction. So we believe in a reader's workshop or writer's workshop model where students come to the carpet for a mini lesson, they go off to do independent practice and then come back for a share and reflection. During that independent time is when they should have access to level text or text of high interest to them so that they can read volumes of books that are accessible to them with the readability. So part of this purchase, and it's a large purchase, is to really address a little bit of the wear and tear since 2015-16. Lots of kids have put their hands on those books and have worn them out. And so we're replacing some of those in a lot of the libraries. But we also surveyed all of the classroom teachers and asked them what their needs were. They had needs to say, we need more books, nonfiction books around weather, or nonfiction books, and you can see based on the quotes, like some grades are getting a weather shelf, some grades are getting a historical fiction shelf, some grades are getting a fantasy shelf. At 5th grade, that's a unit, a study for the fantasy fiction. And so other grades express needing a wider range of text. So you can see in these libraries, we have on-level text and below benchmark. And so sometimes we have students who are reading below level, we need access of those readabilities for them. Or even kids that are reading above level, we needed a wider range for them. So we went with some higher shelves for those students. So that is really the bulk of this purchase. I know that the quotes that we received added up to $115,000, but I was told by our admin rep they're going to honor a discount for shipping, which significantly reduces that, so it would be less than that if we were to approve this at the next board meeting. This is coming from the general fund. Our math expressions payments ended last year. That's our math program, and so I kind of earmarked that payment that we were making. It was a 5-year payment. When that stopped, I can mark a couple years in a row for this purchase so that we can enhance our libraries and make it more accessible for our students. So that's what I have.
Any questions?
Yes.
Heather?
This will be for all of the elementary schools will get an upgrade? All of them?
Every classroom.
Oh, every classroom at every elementary.
Every elementary. Yep. And then I worked with Pam and the instructional coach Robin last week, and we were discussing what the needs are of like the cognitively impaired programs and ASD programs. We're on pause for that right now just to evaluate their needs a little bit better, but they would also get them because they got them last time.
Oh, okay.
Okay, any other questions? Mr. Griffith?
Thanks, Dan. Anita, is this a single payment, or would this be spread across years?
It's going to be a single payment.
Okay.
I'm looking at Ken because it's so expensive to have.
You know, you think of books and, you know, it's almost like technology, but really the information in it doesn't become obsolete. It's, when we talk about historical fiction, you know, history is history, and it doesn't really change, but, yeah, that is it's a lot of money, but I like that it's going into classrooms.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important that the money goes closest to the kids, which is the classroom level. One of my favorite things about our elementary curriculum is it's pretty transdisciplinary. So one of our writing units, as an example, in 2nd grade is a research unit, and it's rooted in weather. So their kids are really writing and researching weather, but they're also learning. And so one of the shelves that the teachers asked for was a shelf of weather books to support that unit for them. And so these are put together by women who support our reading and writing units of study as well.
And any other questions? I think, Mary, did you have a question or comment?
No, well, my comment was that I just love reading. I loved reading when I was a kid, and I loved seeing more books in the hands of kids, and a variety of books. No, I'm just really excited. I want to come and read to kids. When is March going to be here? Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
And stay tuned because we're also going to do management. Yeah. So this would be for your approval at the next board meeting.
Anybody else? Anita, and all those books, I know they're coming from Heinemann, but they're obviously all gone through, vetted, everything's been looked at, so we're not going to put something on the shelf and all of a sudden find out.
We'll do our own vetting. So the answer to your question is yes, but they're actually all going to still come to us at the board office just to make sure. They come in nice kind of buckets and baskets, and so we'll just make sure we open our run and make sure that that meets our standards as well.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Actually,
Yes.
I did have another question. Speaking of which, when are these then planning to come in, and are the resources available that these books already available? Are we actually going to be able to get them?
We were told that if we could place our order after the next board meeting, we would be able to get them. I'm hoping that they would be in our classrooms by January, February, the latest. That we were told that we could fulfill our order.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you, Anita.
Very good.
Good to see we're getting books back in the buildings, you know. Just because it's online doesn't mean it's true.
It doesn't?
I like to have books. Okay. Item number 7, Mr. Barna, business and maintenance. And guest. I presume that's...
Absolutely, actually, it's all about guests. Andrew from IDS who presented tonight on the project that we have for your review.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Everett, and I'm the project manager with IDS, Integrated Design Solutions. We've been working with the district since the 09 bond, maybe? I've been with the district for the last 5 years, and it's been a joy. Our latest project has been focused at the high school and in the toilet rooms and classroom entries. So today I'm going to show you the scope of work. Like I said, classroom entries. As you can see the floor plan here, we're focusing on the 200 corridor. The yellow dots indicate all of the entries that look like the images here with the black tile. We are proposing those to be refaced with blue tile. Earlier this year, we had already gone through and replaced all of the entries that are not highlighted in this corridor that were red. We had applied some new striped pinstripe tile, if you will, in the alcoves with the slab porcelain on the corridor faces. So we would be applying this new tile to all of those black entries as shown on the previous slide, so you have the same look throughout the whole corridor. It's really finishing that project we started earlier in the year. For the drinking fountains and toilet rooms, you see 5 dots here on the screen. Those indicate locations of the toilet, or I'm sorry, the drinking fountains we will be replacing. The new units will be a combination bottle filler and drinking fountain. In 3 of these locations, which are really the 200 corridor, and at the end of the 5, there's carpet that exists under them, drinking fountains, so we will be putting some hard tile for maintenance purposes there also. This is just an image of that. When I say a combo unit, it's both bottle filler and drinking fountain. One is at a lower ADA level, where the other is at a standard. For the toilet rooms, We're focusing really on the group toilet rooms for the students, as all highlighted in yellow here are the toilet rooms we're touching. They will all be receiving new floor and wall tile, new toilet partitions, and fixtures. And when I say fixtures, I mean sinks, urinals, and toilets. And then those fixtures will also be receiving new valves and faucets, which will be touchless, meaning the sensor, so you don't have to touch any of the knobs or to flush the toilet. In these ganged classrooms, we call them ganged or group toilets, we are removing the doors for maintenance. Well, not really for maintenance purposes, but for administration purposes. We are maintaining the door frames. We're putting a kit over the hinge so nobody can mess with the hinges. But we're leaving the frames so in the future, if the district decides they can reinstall these doors, we will be storing them, I think Tony said, either on-site at the school in a storage room. But we are going to, I don't want to say attempt, but we're broaching the no door on the group toilets for the students. For the staff, you see several toilet rooms here in blue that are highlighted. In these spaces, we are retiling the floor and the base. Some of them require some new chipboard for the walls from damage that's happened throughout the years. And in a few of these rooms, they have still a lay-in ceiling. So we'll be removing that lay-in ceiling and installing the chipboard. These toilet rooms will have new paint and also the new touchless valves and faucets. We are also updating the door hardware for these spaces to have occupancy indicators. That means that when it's occupied and inside and you lock with a thumb turn, on the exterior it'll say occupied, or when nobody's in there it'll say unoccupied or vacant. This helps with unwanted surprises because these all are single toilet rooms, so we went with in that. There's no stalls to hide behind the fuel. At the intersection of the 200 and 400 corridors, we are reimagining these toilet rooms. For the boys, we are carving out space in this classroom you see at the end of the 400 and creating a brand new space for them. As you can see, there's 3 toilets and 2 urinals and 3 lavatories, and this is the same count as the toilet we are vacating. So we're bringing this corridor up to the number of fixtures it really requires and needs. For the girls' restroom, we're completely reimagining this floor plan, moving the entry over so it's next to the drinking fountains for a completely new feel in this area. For the finishes, this is kind of a snapshot of what we're installing, with the floor being to the right here is a suede blue tone, and then the wall tile has the aqua and 2 blue tones that will be applied. The toilet partitions will be an FRP material. That is one of the most durable materials available to help with anti-graffiti. You can see the stipple or the orange peel texture that it has. Makes it very difficult to write on or apply graffiti. This is just a sketch of how we will be applying that tile, starting with the darker blue tile closer to the base, and as we go up the wall, the tone will lighten. And applying that on the elevation, you'll see there'll be about 7 foot 6 inches of tile on the wall, painted with a chipboard block above. And that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions?
I ran through kind of quick, so I'm...
No, that's okay. Anybody have a question? Go ahead, Mary.
I always got something. So I'm sure it is so, but I'll ask out loud anyway to make sure that the drinking fountains and the facilities are all ADA compliant.
Yes, that's why you see the 2 levels. One is lower for ADA.
Great. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to have new sinks in the bathrooms at the Commons, and that staff over across from the mechatronics room, that staff bathroom, they need new sinks.
I would have said the toilet room that's in the worst shape.
Yeah. Thank you.
There's, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways. The idea for removing doors.
Yes.
I understand why there would be a reason to take them off, and that's the desire. Is that becoming more and more commonplace?
Very much so.
Okay.
New facilities, we don't even design doors. It's just an open entry. I'll scroll back, we can see the floor plan here. You have to meander around the privacy wall. So there's complete privacy for the occupants from the corridor. You will not have any views to any of the fixtures or even mirrors that will reflect any fixtures or anything that's going on in that space.
Okay.
Dan, I was just at the new West Bloomfield Middle School, and none of their bathrooms have doors, entry doors. It's a brand new building.
When I went to school, we didn't have them, but that's because we couldn't afford them. We just, it was really, they didn't have doors. Do you remember? There was a couple that didn't have doors. So, well, I guess.
The challenge is staying bathing in a little odor.
Well, that's where my question was. Is that becoming more of the norm because we're having issues with those types of activities that are going on in the bathrooms?
Yeah, not only the bathing, but if there's any altercations, you can hear it easier.
Okay, all right.
Always behind a closed door.
Okay. Mr. Weaver?
Yeah, I just want to also clarify too, in the middle of that 200 hallway, that the former boys' bathroom, that doorway is going to be, that's there currently now, that's locked all the time, will be removed, drywalled over, and there will be no, and they'll have, bring Sinorama in to go ahead and blend it in as well too. And that door, because we still need access to it in case anything happens with the mechanical or the plumbing, will be moved to the back of the courtyard area so that it's not something that is a reminder to students. In this area will be sealed and not used.
It's a completely unoccupied space.
Yeah, will not be used for anything.
The access will be from the courtyard, so from the girls' bathroom, the corridor. There's no signs of that space, but we do need to provide access to there because there is utilities and piping overhead that may need to be addressed.
Okay. So we're looking to put the door in the back in the courtyard. So
yeah, it's not shown in the sketch, but yeah, it will be right along this wall here, which is open to the courtyard.
And that's also why we moved the girls' bathroom door down from where it was previously as well too. So it gives a whole different feel to the area.
Okay.
Completely new space.
Okay.
And we really need the bathrooms in that area. If you're in the middle there, there's really no place for students for quite a distance, as well as the number of students that we have. We have to be compliant with that number too as well.
And that was going to be my other question. So we still fall within the state requirements of bathrooms per student population?
When we get these installed, yes.
We
Okay.
are, I think I said 5 fixtures short. That's why we are carving out space into the new space and not making the kids walk all around to the end of the 200, 500.
Okay. So I know that our seated population is either flat or declining a couple students. What about the potential growth of the seated environment? Will this still give us enough fixtures for that potential growth?
The count is based on your current floor plan and classroom count and occupancy of those classrooms.
Okay.
So if you grow and you add classrooms, we will look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, and we are looking at bidding this out over the next month or so and doing the work over the summer.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so it'll be all summertime work. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Anything else?
Well, I do want to bring up a little bit as well too. I mean, down the road there may be, we've been informed, and we are working to figure out more, but there may be funding down the road to address more of the building and do something else with occupying that area where the tragedy occurred. But right now it is still all in the beginning process and it's a competitive process, so there's no guarantees. So in the meantime, that's why we are approaching this project, because kids will be in the building for the next couple of years and trying to give them a much better, safer, much more appealing cosmetically use of the bathrooms. And so that's why we're looking at that, as well as making the hallways standard throughout. And then if we are lucky enough, and we'll see where things go with the other state monies that I alluded to, we will then begin that process. And I was assured that no matter what we did with the bathrooms and that it wouldn't affect that would not be a reason why we wouldn't be considered for that project. But that is, like I said, a competitive project that I've been informed of, and we'll be pursuing that over the next 2 to 3 months.
Okay. 2 to 3 months is when we pursue it, or 2 to 3 months is when they'll have an idea? Do we know?
It's either or.
Okay.
When you're working with the state, and so especially when you're looking hopefully for down the road for funding and that, you are patient and waiting for them to see what they do, but there will be a process set up, and I've been told it's a couple of months. So
okay, very good. Hopefully there'll be more to come on that one. Thank you, Ken. Thank you. Oh, she's already gone. No, thank you. All right, item number 7, Dr. Pass.
I have nothing this evening.
This is the last board meeting.
This last board meeting. I'm trying to come up with something witty to say, but I'll just say it anyways. So nothing on your last board meeting. So for those of you who have not heard, Dr. Pass is going to enjoy retirement. We wish you well. It was, I wouldn't say it was surprising, but it's surprising to me that you're so young and you're going to retire. So unless you've got some aging secrets on me, I'm very envious. So I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Come back and visit and make sure that you say hi, and every once in a while maybe stop back and give this guy a little bit of plans for, well, I'm not going to say for retiring, but give him some hints, words of wisdom. So thank you, David. Dr. Pass. The guy becomes a doctor and he retires. I don't know how that happens. All right. Item number 9, safety and school operations. Mr. Weaver.
Yeah, I'm kind of filling in here. We do have a request, so we've, with Jill leaving in that, I've kind of like taken a little bit of this work on, but with support from many others. And one of the things that we're presenting tonight, there's 2 quotes. One to be approved if you so feel.
Did you know Gary was here?
Oh, I didn't think he was, I didn't know that you arranged. So I will, actually I'll turn it over to Gary. I don't have to do it. He snuck in on us, so I'll go ahead and let you present. I didn't think anybody was going to show, so.
I saw.
All right, well, thank you. Go ahead, Gary.
All right, so we've been down here. As this is my first time presenting to the board, my name is Gary Van Staveren, and I'm the Director of Curriculum and Instructional Technology. First of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you. Again, I've never presented to the board, and I just want to publicly thank you for your service. I just think you probably don't hear that enough, so I just want to say thanks. So we have two items, 9A and 9B. The first one is in regards to 87 laptops. And what we've done is we've really taken a hard look at our current devices for our special education staff, FSLs, psychologists, counselors, instructional coaches, IB coordinators, MTSS coordinators, and so on. We've taken a look at those staff and how are their devices, what age are their devices, and we're hearing a lot about their crashing. You know, have you ever received the blue screen of death? So they're getting the blue screen, etc. We're having some technical issues, and so we are in the process now of doing a review cycle. So we're going to order laptops for them this year. What doesn't get renewed this year will be renewed next year, and then the following year. And so we don't have to do it all at once. So 87 laptops, that's going to include docks so that we can dock to their screens, because they will have, a lot of them have multiple screens, and so this will enable them to do that. There will also be a wireless mouse that will come with that as well, and an A3 license. The A3 license enables us to remotely manage the laptops from anywhere, because we really want to encourage our staff to become more mobile, and so we need to be able to manage that at the same time. So those are the laptops. 9B are 410. What that really is that's for our teacher workstations. Our teacher workstations are getting to 3-4 years old, and instead of replacing them, we'd like to extend their life to maybe 7, 8, 9 years. So what we're going to do with those is increase the random access memory, and then also replace some of the hard drives. So some of the hard drives are just completely shot, replace those, increase the RAM, now you're going to extend the life. What that also does was we're really realizing the issue is because now we've installed Prometheans, the 75-inch, that's not Promethean, but they're 75-inch interactive touchscreens, basically kind of like your phone. And we've installed those all at the high school, the middle school, Leonard, and we just started at Daniel Axel. What we're noticing is we're having, they freeze, the Promethean will freeze, and there's nothing you can really interact with at all. And we're finding that's because of the teacher workstation. It's a little bit older, that machine doesn't have the random access memory to engage with the Promethean, which is a more recent, newer device. So we're going to increase the RAM and replace the hard drives on those for 410 devices. So those are the 2 items. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions?
Put the motion on the floor.
Okay. Thank you.
Voting
No, we have a motion.
Is it just one, though?
Yeah, I just see the one on there, correct.
There's 2 quotes. We're asking for just one needs like immediate approval because we're trying to get staff devices as quickly as possible. The other one can wait a little bit because by the time we get to it and everything else, so we'll bring it, that one we'll bring back in 2 weeks for you to approve.
Okay.
The other one is an emergency trying to get staff devices. They've been very compliant and okay to work with devices that they have that are like sometimes Chromebooks and other things and older laptops and older desktops. Okay. So we're trying to get these laptops in as quickly as possible.
Okay. So. Make a motion? Heather?
I can do it. Thank you too, Gary. Thank you for what you said and thank you for your presentation. Move to approve the purchase of 87 teacher devices from Intercom TSG for the price of $83,694.
Do I support? Support. Chad? Discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chad.
Mary first.
A similar question to the last one. We're ordering 87. Are we going to be able to get them in a timely manner?
You know, that's a great question. Yes, we hope so. So that is, yes, we hope so.
Okay. So, and these are, what we're talking about is replacing, I think Ken kind of answered my question, but we've had teachers using Chromebooks. Ouch.
Chromebooks,
Okay.
laptops that are replacement laptops, they're already old, but they're better than the current machine that they have. Yes.
So thank you to all the staff and teachers who've been using the old computers, and then that message comes up that says, you're not properly equipped to run Windows 11. Yeah, so thank you for all of you that have been working with those in the meantime. Okay, thank you.
Chad?
Thank you. Hey, Gary, just
Don't go away yet. Don't go away yet.
Yeah.
This is your first time. You got to stay up there for a little while.
So it sounds like you're saying that we're trying to get onto a regular schedule of refreshing. Okay. Are these purchases or leases?
These will be purchases.
Okay. The other question I think is more technical in nature. So I thank you for the detail around the RAM replacement, because I saw that, and the solid state drives, and I was trying to understand why those were being called out separately. So I guess my question then is, who's doing that? The installation of the hardware and the data transfer from the existing hard drives to the new ones. Is that something that we're managing on our?
Good question. Yes, we will manage the 410 teacher workstation, replace the hard drives, and replace the RAM. We will do that.
Okay. Are we? And I apologize, I don't have the numbers in front of me. Are we doubling the RAM?
Let me see. I think it's 8 gig, and I think we're ordering 8 gigs, so I think we are doubling the RAM. That's correct.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. Anybody else? No? Okay. Yeah, you might want to wait till we pass that motion. Question, can you give me the population of the group that's going to get these 87?
Yes.
Do we have an idea?
Primarily, it's just over 50 that are in our special education department.
Okay.
There's about 12 to 13 that are from our ag team. And then we have instructional coaches, IB coordinators, MTSS coordinator.
Okay. All right.
Always the last ones.
All right. And then, well, I'll ask offline on because it's more focused to something else. So, any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You're good. Yep, you're good. Thank you. All right. Item number 10, unscheduled audience participation. We have a couple cards there. Thank you, sir.
What was that? Somebody just put something on the stand?
Oh, I think it's for the camera.
Oh, okay. Just questioning when people just drop off electronic devices.
It's okay. All right, Andrea Jones. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Calling on the board for answers as to why those directly involved in the tragedy are not on administrative leave. Why was Officer Potts allowed to continue to work for the district until June of the last school year? Why are we holding one officer accountable but not the other? We need answers as to when the guidepost review will be completed. We're at the year mark at this point and still have no answers, no accountability, and no transparency. We're done with the complacency and the inaction. We're tired of the excuses and lack of integrity. It's time to stop holding this community in a stalemate with inaction. We're not going away. It's got me to the point of opening our email every day. It's a crapshoot. Like, every time we open it, it's another example of just a catastrophe. It's something that we're always being reactive instead of proactive. We shouldn't have officers firing guns in bathrooms and more threats, and it's just nonstop. It's enough. It's time this board and the admins of this district start being transparent, start being honest about what really happened here, and start adjusting the policies and procedures to protect our children. They're our children. And we're giving them to you in the best faith agreement that you have their best interest at heart. And up to this point, you've proven otherwise. That's all I have to say at this point.
Danielle Krozek.
Good evening. I'm here to talk about accountability as well, again, month 11. On August 16th, myself and at least 3 other parents and a teacher met directly with Tom Donnelly and Corey Bailey. We pressed upon main topics, including the gaps in threat assessment procedures, threat assessment team, guideposts, district culture. They better understood the community's concerns after this meeting. On August 22nd, Jill conducted a parents' security review meeting. It was even more clear coming out of this meeting the gaps that existed on the 29th and 30th, as well as that day. On the 29th, we we had a follow-up meeting with Tom and Corey. We dug deeper into the threat assessment policies and procedures, using very specific examples and use cases. We read a transcript of the announcement made on November 4th that reassured our students that their safety was not in question, a false sense of safety, actually. We shared social media groups comments made by hundreds of parents expressing their concern of safety in the district at the time, leading up to the 30th. Finally, we highlighted the Alice lockdown procedures failed to inform students the description and location of the shooter at the time. It was in this meeting that Tom and Corey acknowledged the need to seek truth and accountability. For that, I'm grateful. The following days, they did their own research, they read existing policies, consulted experts, asked more questions, and met with almost every single one of you sitting on this board. I stayed in close contact with not only them, but shared everything with Guidepost at the time. A special meeting was called on the 9th. For this reason, we know that Barnum and Guidepost attended the meeting. We know that they were in closed session because we saw them go in. And while I'm not privy to what was discussed in that meeting, nor should I be, I know Corey and Tom's intention walking into that meeting. They shared the information that they gathered. They demanded accountability. They were planning to request the leave, immediate leave, of at least 5 people, including EJAC, Hopkins, and Fine. They were reinforcing the plan to accelerate the Guidepost investigation and bring closure to at least an initial report ahead of the anniversary of the tragedy. Finally, if the investigation returned what they expected, they were to demand the firing of at least 5 people. Both Tom and Corey, individually to me, told me if they didn't get the support from the board, they would resign. They resigned. Both of them resigned. And all of you know the truth, with the exception of the 2 new board members. So welcome to the Oxford Community Board. When you go into closed session tonight, please ask questions. Please ask to see the information provided by Tom and Corey. Please ask. Please ask what the status is of the Guidepost investigation and if it's going to be done. I'm begging you. This community is begging you. The victims' families are begging you. We need truth. We need accountability so that we can move on. Last note for any of you following 42 Strong. Today's trait is strive for accountability. I beg you to do that.
Okay. With that, item number 11th, we have some scheduled activities. Our next board meeting, I won't read them all, but I'll read the next board meeting is October 25th at Clear Lake. And then following that, November 15th at the middle school. And there's a bunch of other ones on here, but I just want to point out the board meetings so that everybody is aware of those. And then the final one that we have on this scheduled activities is January 11th at Lakeville Elementary. So it's October 25th at Clear Lake, November 15th at the middle school, and then January 11th at Lakeville Elementary.
December 13th.
And, I'm sorry, December 13th. And there is no specific.
I believe that's here.
It's probably going to be here, so keep an eye out for the location on December 13th. All right.
At the high school, Dan.
It is at the high school? Okay. So that's December 13th at Oxford High School. Mr. Weaver, clarification.
Just like to clarify that we will be conducting Executive Director of School Operations first round interviews tomorrow. It seems we've got a really good pool of candidates, some internal, some external, so we're optimistic about those. And as well on Thursday, we will be doing the final round. We have 2 really good, strong candidates for the school safety administrator position. That was, these 2 positions were created out of what Jill was formerly doing. And so in looking at them, the cabinet and in consultation with the board felt it was best to split them. so that the school safety administrator, you could really concentrate on that expertise or area, and then as well too, then have the executive director for more of the administrative oversight, making sure that annual reviews and so forth for safety as well as other school operations are being done.
Okay. Final board comments. Anybody?
I've spoken up today.
No?
I've spoken up today.
Okay. Item number 14, we're going to go into closed session, a brief closed session. I need a motion, please. Mary.
Move to meet in closed session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Section 8E, for the purpose of consulting with its attorney regarding trial strategy in connection with case numbers 21 CV 12871, 22 CV 10407, 22 CV 10805, 22 CV 11113, 22 CV 11250, 22 CV 11360, 22 CV 11251, 22 11398, 22 11448, 22 192262, 22 194891, and 22 195663.
Support? Support Mr. Griffith. Any discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Roll call vote, Ms. Hanser.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Dr. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Foster? Ms. Schaefer? Ms. Hanser, yes. Mr. Griffith?
Yes.
Mr. D'Alessandro?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. We'll go in the closed session real quick. Back from closed session. And
What time?
at
9:06.
9:06. And we will be having, under other, a motion we did for approval for the Calico curriculum.
Move to approve Calico Spanish curriculum for OVA Elementary.
Second? Second, Mr. Foster. Any discussion?
I guess, just a reminder, I'm sure everybody, maybe for Aaron and Colleen, this is a Spanish curriculum that we took a look at. There was a presentation given to us 2 weeks ago, I think, in our meeting out at Leonard.
Yep. Yes. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything under other, Mr. Weaver?
Nothing else.
Okay.
Mr. President, I do have a short item under other.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. I just want to remind everybody that I will be going to the MASB Annual Leadership Conference coming up October 19th. And no, we are in person. Traverse City.
TC.
Everybody should have received from the MASB the Delegate Assembly Handbook that has the ongoing the continuing resolutions. It has the proposed amendments to resolutions and a couple of new resolutions. And also, as a reminder, and each school district can vote on those things. The instructions are in here, but please read through them if there's anything that you want me to mention on behalf of our board regarding any of these. And just keeping in mind that this is not, MASB is no kind of legislative body. They represent school boards. They do some lobbying work for us, also offer us a lot of services like the training. But these are just things that, things that they stand for as an organization. There's no legislation to it. This is all for supporting students. So please take a look at that and let me know. Tomorrow night, the MASB is holding for Oakland County a legislative priorities meeting. So that's where we get together, school board members from Oakland County, and discuss what the legislative priorities should be for the next year for the state. So if there's anything that any of you feel is important that, you know, from a school district, from a public school perspective, that the MASB should be making a priority for legislators for something that we'd like them to be lobbying for, please let me know. You can find the current legislative priorities on their website.
Very good. I think one of the things to kind of bring up to them is budgeting. It's really hard to hit a budget number when you don't know how much you're going to get per pupil. So that might be something that, you know, maybe they move their timeline up. I mean, ours has to be in by the 30th of June. We have to have our budget, our proposed budget for the following year right then, and we have to vote on it. And you're voting on something that you don't know how much money you're going to get. So that would be something that I would think would be top priority, not just for us, but for every district.
Yeah, I would imagine that one of those top priorities that will be safety in some fashion. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine that's going to escape the conversation. Let me just add, Mary, appreciate the energy that you put into keeping us informed what MASB and OCSBA are doing. That energy has not waned once in the last 4 years, and appreciate that. And also, I'm really hoping that the weather is better for you driving up to Traverse City than the last time we did that 3 years ago. That got stuck up there and on the way back in snowstorms.
All right. Very good. Anything else? All right. Meeting adjourned.